Welcome to episode 421 of In Touch with iOS, the podcast that keeps you connected to the ever-changing Apple ecosystem. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg. Each week, we break down the latest news, updates, tips, and hidden features across iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Mac, Vision Pro, and Apple TV, all with insights from friends, experts, and the Apple community, because here we read the release notes so you don't have to. So we've got a great panel this week. I'm going to just kind of reverse it, and I want to welcome back Chuck Joyner. It's been a long time since you've been on the show. I'm glad you're back. How you doing?
Thank you. It's always too long since I've been on the show. Well, I know you know what I mean. Yes, doing good. Thank you, Dave. Although it seems unusually out of control tonight so far.
It is. Yes.
Lost some control here, but a little bit. But we're back. We're here. We're ready to talk about lots of fun stuff here. Jeff Gamet, he is here as well. We missed you last week. Glad you're here. How you doing, Jeff?
I am so sorry I wasn't able to be here last week, but I'm glad that I'm able to be here this week.
Yes,
I did miss out on being able to make some very prescient comments during the show, and Guy just
yep.
Anyhow, I'm happy to be here. It's great to see you.
Yes, great to have you as well. And Guy Serle, he is back as well. He was on a little vacation last week, I believe I remember correctly. How you doing, Guy?
Where did I? I don't even remember where I went now. Huh? Go figure. 420. What are you going to do? I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And last but certainly not least, Jill McKinley is here this week. How you doing, Jill?
Well, I'm great. I'm on vacation. Don't I look relaxed? And
you do.
Yeah. So good. I'm good.
Well, that is amazing. So, and this is going to be a great show this week. We've got the usual things. We've got some new versions of iOS and such coming out, little Vision Pro and Mac and, everything we kind of just hit on this week. Looks like I'm going to buy myself this week with Vision Pro since both Marty and Eric weren't able to make it this week, but I will just kind of go through this a little bit.
No, I bought.
What's that, Guy?
Oh.
You bought one?
No.
Okay.
I really didn't.
Sure you did. I know
Chuck
you didn't.
can chime in since he has a Vision Pro, right, Chuck?
I'm thinking about it, Jeff. I continue to think about it.
He's been thinking about it for a long time.
Does that count?
That's a start.
So just briefly, VisionOS 26.5, the release came out, and the overview was there was an SDK that was supporting developing apps with the services running here. And you can now read pricing information for subscriptions that have a monthly 12-year commitment. We've been talking about that. Apple's going to allow developers to have with 12-month commitments, but they're going to have a monthly fee. So you don't have to pay it all at once. So that's kind of being explored here. And then you can also specify the billing type for the subscriptions. So you have a monthly 12 commitment and it goes on and on. So I don't really have much else to talk about on the beta. I'm not going to really go too much deeper in this than I just did. So it's out there and we're anticipating, like all of the OS, is going to be probably more than likely released next week as we record this. This article was kind of interesting. This is they were talking a little bit. Let me bring it up on the screen here. They were talking a little bit about the fact that you are going to be able to get PC VR gaming through this new KRVR app. And this is rather interesting. It is going to give you the option to it's now officially going to be available on the App Store through giving Vision Pro users a new way to stream PC VR games directly to the headset. The app combines Apple's new forbidden streaming framework in VisionOS 26.4 with NVIDIA's Cloud XR, allowing high-end VR content to run from a Windows gaming PC while the Vision Pro handles the display. This is going to handle the tracking and spatial interaction. The timing matters because 26.4 just recently added this native support with the NVIDIA Cloud XR for the streaming, but until now, the PC VR on the Vision Pro was mostly dependent on unofficial solutions, so that's a good thing to see. So again, gaming, I don't know, too many of us are overly excited about gaming, but this is cool to see. And you definitely can run either version of the Mac of Vision Pro. You can have to have a Windows PC that has the NVIDIA RTX 40 series GPU. The PC will have to be on a wired connection, so you can eliminate that latency. So again, interesting to see where things go with the VR. Nothing overly exciting.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're a gamer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The three games I play are No Man's Sky, Forza Horizons, and two truck driver games. And I think that would be so much fun in there. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
Only combine a space game and a truck game.
Right.
Hey, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. But that's it for Vision Pro this week. iOS and beta, we're going to go with beta this week. iOS 26.5, release candidate was released this week. And again, there wasn't really much else that we've already haven't talked about. We're expecting this to be out very shortly where it comes to this release. And it's just a week after the fourth beta that came out. So you can go out and it's going to, they're continuing to test the end-to-end encryption with RCS messages between the iPhone and the Android users. That was released in the beta. There's now a new Pride wallpaper to go along with the Pride Apple Watch band, which I'll talk about a little later. And the European Union are testing some proximity pairing. So not a ton of features here that we haven't already talked about. So we'll save it for next week. So when it is released and people get their hands on this, it'll pretty much be a great thing to be able to see what they've released here. So WatchOS 26.5, tvOS 26.5 is also going to be out. And there's going to be definitely some interesting things with WatchOS because they did WatchOS does have two fixes that have been released for fixing two watch bugs here, and what that's going to be is the fact that it is expecting to be released this next week coming. Like I said, it's going to fix an issue where the Messages app and the watch is going to be may use SMS instead of iMessage when paired with a dual SIM iPhone, and fixes an issue with the Workout app. A lot of people were complaining about the Workout app, that audio alerts could fail and to play if the phone was not nearby. It also mentions the new Pride Luminance watch face that's available, so those are coming out as well. So other than that, nothing overly exciting about that release. And as well as we talked about the RCS messages that's coming out. And so we'll definitely talk about more what's going on here with that. So, and then finally, I want to talk about in beta that Apple did release a new firmware for the AirPods Max 2. It just released ahead of ahead of what the Max 2 was just released. Of course, as always, the firmwares with AirPods, all of them, you don't know what they've released. So just when you hook up your AirPods Max, it'll automatically update using your iPhone, usually, and we'll get that up to date. So nothing overly exciting there as well. And let's go ahead and move on to Mac. In touch with Mac this week. So Tahoe 26.5, as also known as Big Lake to Jeff Gamet, is now available. This is the release candidate. No new features, so you're really not seeing a lot of stuff. Just focusing on bug fixes, performance improvements. I know 26.4 has been having a little bit of trouble in the enterprise, and if anybody's not familiar with the PSSO is, that's the way of authentication through the lovely Windows Microsoft world. It caused a bug where it's stopping authentication or at least causing problems. So 26.5 is probably going to fix a lot of those bugs, and that's primarily where we're looking at when it comes to the bugs for Tahoe. And Apple. And we kind of move on with some Mac news here. Apple cuts more Mac Studio and Mac Mini RAM options as memory shortage worsens. So Apple has removed the more desktop Macs from its online store since the memory storage shortage continues. So Mac Mini models with 32 gigs and 64 gigs of RAM is no longer available for purchase. You won't find it on the Apple site. might find it out there somewhere, not on Apple, but nor is the M3 Ultra Mac Studio with 256 gigs of RAM. But the M3 Ultra is now available only in 96 gigabytes configurations. All the higher tiers have been eliminated, and then the M3 Mac Studio and M4 Mac Studio have deliveries. The delivery dates are going to be pushed out, quite a bit here. So, it's unfortunate, and we already talked about the Mac Mini. Now they've eliminated the 256 gig version for $599, so the lowest price on a Mac Mini is now $799 with the 24 gigs of RAM. And so, it looks like we're going to be seeing a lot of shortages, and we know from the earnings call last week, we didn't have to get it. It didn't happen. We didn't really talk about it too much, but we've rehashed it enough on other shows. But Tim Cook they said that they did underestimate the demand for the Mac Mini and the Mac Studio, and we know why, because AI and agentic tools have been exploding, and all these AI companies are buying up Mac Minis like crazy. So it is definitely interesting. Jeff, what do you think?
I think it's kind of crazy. And I find it interesting that Apple was caught completely flat-footed with this. So, and yes, and the RAM shortage playing into what's happening with all these devices being pulled from their stores. I mean, as for like, they're not pulling hardware, but they're pulling the options.
Right.
Yeah. How else are they going to manage what they can actually get a hold of?
Yeah, it's true.
I expect once, okay, I'm being really optimistic here. Once all of this is back under control, and raw material availability so that chip production can happen becomes a thing again, these models that Apple has pulled, they'll start showing up on the store again.
Yeah. Yep. Chuck, you have any thoughts on what's been going on with the Macs?
I echo most of what Jeff said. I think it's just sorry. It feels like Apple has shown that they're actually human. That they are, so to speak, they are not immune to all of the, they're not magic like a lot of people seem to want them to believe them to be. So they made some projections. They expected some success. They got more than their share of success, which is, from where I sit, it's a nice problem to have. I'd rather have that than have warehouses full of, so shall we say, Surface laptops or Chromebooks sitting there that nobody wants.
No, sorry.
So, if somebody was smart, they might start tearing those down and selling the RAM and just, write it off. But yeah, I feel good about it. I think Jeff's right. We'll get the configurations back. It's an interesting choice, though, to decide, okay, we're not going to give you some of these higher end models because we are going to keep the lower end customers happy. We're going to satisfy more of them than just one person that needs 128 gigs of RAM. Yeah. I mean, go Jeff, because I think it's an interesting choice. I'm not sure it's a choice. I'm not sure it's good or bad.
Okay, so Chuck, where you went with this about, it's like, well, we're going to make sure we have stuff for this range of buyers. I have a feeling that was only a piece of the puzzle that they were putting together, and a bigger piece is, where can we continue to sell where we don't have a significantly negative impact on our margins. And they know everything about everything for what they sell. And so they could drop everything into a spreadsheet, and they're like, okay, these are the models we can reasonably produce and also have our margins stay within the the range that we want.
Yeah, but Jeff, Apple's never been hesitant to price things. And so I would have speculated that if they weren't as concerned with satisfying more customers, they would have just upped the prices on those very top ends, under the theory that if you want that kind of top end, you got the money to pay for it. It's like buying a Ferrari. Ferrari doesn't worry too much about pricing because people want a Ferrari, they're going to buy a Ferrari.
Well, how high can they raise the price on those models and still sell them? And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, nobody does.
And deliver them within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
You're not going to make all that many of the super high-end ones because the market is very, very limited. And if you use up a lot of your stock to make those that are mostly just going to sit on the shelves, then you're kind of screwing yourself.
Well, that was my thought.
Oh, sorry, Jill. Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, if you look at it in reverse, right now the Neo is driving the adoption of the Mac OS, and so strike while the iron is hot and get as many people hooked on the OS as you can. So there's that method. So that's it. Jeff, you said it well. All the pieces. There's so many pieces and so many factors that if you look at it one way or the other, you can justify pretty much any decision they made.
I kind of wondered. I think you're right. It's a spreadsheet problem. We can sell 50,000 24 gigabytes, or we can sell 10,000, bigger ones. But if Pixar, I always use Pixar, comes to them and says, hey, we need 100 Mac Minis with 128 gigabytes of RAM, I think they probably get it. And those people probably have enough sway that they can go to Apple directly and make that kind of request. So take it out of the store, sell to most people. They know what most people buy, and then, worry about the rest later.
Well, somehow I don't think Pixar is ordering through the website.
Right, exactly. The people who are buying those kinds of machines can say, yo, Tim, need this.
Yeah.
I think this is a problem that isn't going away anytime soon. And the reason why is it takes years to create fabs necessary for making RAM and making processors and making hard drives and all of the things that are required for storage, which is, really, that's what we're talking about. It doesn't seem like there's any shortage on processors. Shortage is in the storage. So whether it's RAM or whether it's SSDs or M2 fast whatever you want to call those things, it'll take years for these fabs to be created. In the meantime, the people that make those fabs, it's a multi-billion-dollar investment. And I think that they're kind of wondering when the bubble is going to burst on this. And if they get caught flat-footed with a fab that is 9/10 of the way done, and suddenly they're like, oh, well, we don't really need it anymore. Well, then they're screwed out of a lot of money. So I think that the people that make memory of whatever type that you want to talk about are hedging their bets right now. They're saying, we don't want to spend a lot of money on creating more output because we don't know how much longer that output is going to be needed.
Yeah, I'm sure that part of the calculus they're using there is what sort of commitments do we have from all of these AI companies? Because that's who's buying up all this stuff.
That's who's buying it.
And so they are producing RAM, and if they need to have additional fabrication capacity, building that up based on these commitments. But Guy, you're right, because at some point this whole AI growth market is going to shift in some way.
Yeah.
It might be the bubble bursts, or it might be that the growth moves in a different direction. We don't know. But since right now, all of this, like all the RAM that's being bought, all the hard drives that are being bought, with deals going multiple years out, this is all speculative. It's all pretend money, and there's so much pretend money that's happening right now because it's all, yes, we've committed, and everyone's committed to do all the things. When now that the ball is rolling, boy, if these companies back out of the commitments they've made, it's going to have serious repercussions across the entire market, and not just in the AI space, but in enterprise and consumer as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, just think about the tech bubble when that burst, and the aftermath of what happened there. And we're eventually going to see a similar type of fallout with AI, because with the tech bubble, everybody was go, 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 and there was lots of money being thrown around, and then suddenly all that money disappeared. And
and you could get a Herman Miller office chair in an alley because the companies just rolled everything out and walked away.
These companies can have commitments from here to eternity. But if a company goes away, or a company suddenly says, "Oh, well, sorry, we just can't do it anymore," then what is the alternative for the companies that are making this stuff and have overproduced? That at that point they lose money. So I think most of the companies that are building storage devices, whether it's RAM or actual storage, are hedging their bets, and they're probably gun shy about committing multiple billions of dollars for more capacity that they might not need in 5 to 10 years, which is when most of those would come online anyway.
It feels like that somebody should be smart enough to be able to maybe figure out how to build those fabs so that they could be easily, or relatively easily, repurposed. Because at the moment, there's a lot of money to be made. And so, and there's this huge demand. And I do have to wonder how much of it is just going to go away. To Jeff's point about the Herman Miller chairs, that just feels a little bit different to me here. That, the fabs might have to be reconfigured, but do you really see fabs going away? Maybe not utilized 24/7, 365, like I think they're trying to do right now. But I'm having a hard time visualizing a future that shy of some incredibly science fiction breakthrough technology kind of thing, that we're not going to have sort of a lot of this for that 10-year period.
Well, remember as well that we're not just talking about the fabs, we're talking about the raw materials that are required to make that stuff.
That's another matter.
Yeah. Well, but it's all tied in. It's all So if they can't deliver on the raw materials to make this stuff, it doesn't matter how many fabs you build. And so again, you've got this supply and demand bottleneck, and everyone is kind of holding their breath to see which way the market goes. I am not sold on the idea that there's going to be 10 to 20 different large model AIs out there, and that the market is going to be able to support all them. And so at some point there's going to be a consolidation, and when that consolidation happens, a lot of the demand for more storage capacity and more RAMs and more computers and all the rest of that is just going to disappear.
I think that part of the problem right now is you see companies like Corsair, who owns Elgato, they got out of the consumer basis and went into making it for AI. NVIDIA focused towards AI. So it's not even maybe that there's not the ability to build these things. They just found a deeper pocket. And so now it's getting someone else to come in and start building consumer RAM. And that's, I think, part of the problem right now. And I seem to remember this happening back, when servers came out. The web became a big deal. Oh, now everyone's building web servers everywhere and web server data centers. And I remember at one point, EverQuest, the video game, was taking up 50% of the energy in San Diego, and they were freaking out. And at some point, it settled, and then there was plenty of RAM and plenty of, it just took a minute, for Slack to sort of build into the system. But I think we just need new companies that want to go out there and go after the consumer market for RAM, because the big dogs all went to AI.
Yep. Well, that was good discussion on this. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here. Apple is this is a couple MacBook Neo stories here. Apple is doubling the MacBook Neo production by ordering a fresh batch of A18 Pro chips. As we learned from the earnings call last week, they've been facing quite a welcoming dilemma, which I would definitely agree with that. But the surging demand for the MacBook Neo far exceeded expectations, and now the company had a pressing decision: do you ramp up production or do you allow the stock of A18 Pro chips to run out? Well, wisely, the Apple did choose the former because Apple has doubled its MacBook Neo production plans after the laptop's runaway success, and that's what sources are out from the article. MacBook Neo has been seen as a legitimate alternative to the Chromebook powered by Google and some of the low-end Windows laptops. The cheapest member of the MacBook series is going to lure more companies, as we've been talking about, students and enterprise and potential with this as well. So I'm so glad to hear that they made this decision, and they are now asking suppliers to prepare for a capacity of 10 million units of the debut of the version of the Neo, up from an initial estimate of 5 million to 6 million, which is crazy. I think Apple's got a big hit on their hands. And go, Guy, you want a comment on this?
Yeah. The one thing that the Neo has taught us is it kind of put to bed the assumption that 8 gigabytes of RAM isn't enough. Because not only does the Neo have an A18 Pro processor, a mobile phone processor, it also only has 8 gigs of RAM. And the 2 models that are available, that's all it has. So you look at that and you go back to the problem with the amount of RAM that is available in the market today. And not only is this is where Apple has such a huge advantage over something like Windows, in that it handles memory much better than Windows does. So having said that means that you can buy a MacBook Neo, and 90 to 95% of the people that are out there won't even realize or even care that it only has 8 gigs of RAM. And a discussion that went around was talking about Apple maybe making a Mac Neo, which wouldn't surprise me and this is like striking while the iron is hot. Right now, Neo name and the way that it operates, either with an A18 Pro or if they go to an A18 Pro, it's exceeding expectations on what anybody thought it was going to be able to do in working within the Mac OS. So being able to have that kind of power with such smaller resources available to it, limited amount of RAM, much less storage capacity, and as long as you're not doing 8K video in Final Cut Pro, it's going to handle most of what everybody wants to use a computer for. So, and you can't say that on the Windows side. Windows computers typically need a lot more RAM, and this is what the Neo is showing everybody now. So I see Apple not only expanding the amount of computers that they're making in the Neo name, but also going out from that and making a Mac Neo. I would really like to see a Mac Neo. And I would not be surprised if somewhere in the deepest, darkest hallways of Apple in one of their many engineering labs that there's one running there quietly and silently, and everybody passes it by and whispering as they go by.
Guy?
Yeah.
I believe Apple is already making the Mac Neo.
I think so.
We've been buying it for a few years, and it's called Apple TV. And they have chosen to keep the Mac Neo, if you will, sandboxed into a more focused use case.
Right. Content delivery.
Yeah, it's content delivery, but let's keep it running at an A series processor. So let's bring it up to like an A19.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now at this point, based on what we're seeing happen with the Neo, the MacBook Neo, this Mac Neo, the Apple TV, that becomes more than just your, hey, I want to watch all the TV and play some casual game things. This becomes Apple's opportunity to quietly come into the serious game console market.
Possibly, yeah.
At a price that undercuts the big name players, PlayStation, Xbox.
Yeah,
if they choose to do it.
The only problem there is, as good as the A series processors are, if you've got a serious gamer, they're going out and they're getting an i9, i9990, whatever Intel or the Ryzen makers. I wanted to say AMC, but that was a car company. All of their processors.
AMD.
Yeah, AMD.
The high end Intel and AMD processors that they're using in a lot of these game consoles are going to blow anything away that Apple can do with an A series processor. Now, what makes that not necessarily the case is the Nintendo Switch. Because that is not a high-end machine, and Nintendo has sold a buttload of them. They're all over the place, and it's the machine that a lot of the gamers are looking at and going, yeah, this is really good. And what it comes down to isn't how powerful the hardware is, it's how good the games are. That is something that Nintendo has done, not only with their in-house games, but with the people that also supply games to them from third-party developers. Now, if Apple can get them on board, then something along the lines of a Mac Neo, Apple TV Neo, whatever the heck it is that you want to call it, as a gaming console could work very well. But you've got to get the developers on track. And if they don't come in, it's not going to work. As Atari found out, as Sega found out, as so many of the other game companies that are now in the dust found out. You've got to get them on board.
Yep.
Well, I have a Steam Deck, and which not as a Stream Deck, but a Steam Deck. And same thing. It's from Valve, and you're right. It's a low level machine, and I am dying for the Apple TV to become a gaming console. I want that to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take this back a little bit. What would you guys say to an A-powered iMac?
It would be a good move.
Because
similar, right? They weren't highly powered, were they?
Well, no. They're running. Right now. They're running an M4 chip, 24-inch display, 16 gigs of RAM, and 256 SSD is the base price. Base configuration. So, all right, you drop it down because look, to get a Neo in a Mac Mini footprint, now we're back to the whole discussion of a monitor and having to connect it and going on. The Neo is a one piece unit. There's basically nothing else to buy.
Yeah,
and
right.
So and if we're looking at new users, and the Neo seems to be going to a lot of new users that don't have half a dozen keyboards sitting in their basement like some of us. So what would that look like? Could they make a decent profit margin on that?
Well,
and still have some of that. Sorry, Gus, have some of that Mac magic with it.
What's the iMac selling for now?
$12.99.
Okay, you could take the innards of the MacBook Neo, which is really all we're talking about, and fit that into a case with a 24-inch monitor, and it would be much cheaper to manufacture than what they're currently doing with an M4. So they could not only do it, they could also drop the price by probably $200. And and if you're not so obsessed with having, a 5K, 6K Retina monitor to go along with it, you could probably drop it $400. You could probably sell an iMac Neo with an A18 or A19 Pro processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 or 512 of storage for $899. If you're not obsessed with having, the world's best monitor on a machine that's really basic consumer level.
I think it sounds great. Yeah.
I think it makes more sense. I'm sorry, Jeff.
I don't think they'll do it.
Jeff,
your arguments are totally legit. I just don't think they'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you because I feel like there may be just a few too many compromises, especially on the screen issue. But I honestly think it makes more sense than hoping that they make a Mac Mini oriented kind of Mac Neo, because that seems like it introduces all the complications that the Neo solved, and I don't. Then you got to go out and do a lot of extra work to figure out what monitor you want, and you want a cheap one, you want an expensive one, and you could probably sell the keyboard with the the desk or the desktop machine part, so that could solve that. But yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right.
Well, as far as the monitor goes, I mean, the MacBook Neo doesn't have like the highest end of monitors. It's like middle of the road, really. I mean, it's a good monitor. Don't get me wrong, but no one is going to be blown away by the MacBook Neo's monitor. And I think the same thing, you could do the same thing with an iMac. That it doesn't have to be the latest and the greatest and have 4 to 5K of resolution to do the job that it's intended to do.
It would help it would help validate the decision that David started out this segment with about the new order for the A series. Excuse me, the A series chips. So, or maybe they have just a whole different kind of configuration in mind. Who knows?
Yes.
In mathematics, specifically projective geometry.
In mathematics? Let's go ahead and move on. I picked the topic here I thought Jeff would probably be a little bit interested in here. It's the HomePod desk speakers bring Apple audio to workspaces. The HomePod desk speakers give Mac, iPad, and Apple TV setups cleaner sound for music, calls, video, podcasts, and focused work. HomePod desk speakers can turn a Mac into a small Apple TV workspace. It can be a cleaner audio setup without adding a traditional soundbar. The appeal is that it does not only have good sound quality, but it also fits neatly into Apple's device language, as we call that. That's a good word. And then it works with AirPlay, with the Mac, and all the other devices. So you have the HomePod and the HomePod Mini. Well, the Mini is not going to take up as much space as the HomePod will, but of course, choosing what's best and what fits a small desk, I think the HomePod Mini is going to be a good choice. Doing a stereo pair with the HomePod Mini is probably more convincing than placing one each side of it, giving you better separation. The Mini is not the best for deep bass. I would agree with that, and the room filling volume. But sitting at a desk and having two HomePods next to you. But of course, we know the full size HomePods can be better for music and media because it's much bigger, and they've really the Mac audio does work best with the right expectations, and the Apple TV setups would probably be pretty most seamless. I don't know if those. I don't think I have an Apple TV sitting on my desk. I have it to my left here, behind my TV, and using my lovely audio engine using the Bluetooth to connect to it. So there are some good options. So it really is going to depend on the room, what you're interested in, and the Mac, the HomePod Mini is getting a little long in the tooth. It's been around 4 years now, I think it is now, the one that was last released. So Jeff, I was anxious to hear what your thoughts were about this article.
Well, okay. So I will craft a tapestry out of the threads they didn't really put together well here, and I apologize for. No, I don't. I'm being critical of the article in general because I would have kicked it back to my writers and said, "Okay, this is a really great start. Now let's turn it into something that really takes it home and gives a lot of value to the readers." So that said, um, the HomePod Mini, even though I feel like we're kind of like way overdue for a refresh on the HomePod Mini,
We are.
I think that's the better purchase in the HomePod product line. So you can get a pair of minis for $200,
right?
And so now you have a stereo pair. The audio quality is pretty good on the Mini, and if you need it in a small space, like it's going to be on your desk, it doesn't take up much space, and in that scenario, you're going to have really good sound. Yet you don't have the level of bass that you get with the standard HomePod. But considering what people need to use or want to use these for, it's hard for me to justify telling people get a pair of HomePods as opposed to a pair of HomePod minis. If it's going to be your home theater setup and you really, really, really want to use HomePods, okay, then get the full-size HomePods. But I would say instead of buying a couple HomePods, go get a good sound bar with subwoofer and use that instead, because it's going to cost you a lot less, and you will probably have a wider dynamic range from the speakers.
Yep. That
said, HomePod Mini, there you go. I don't care that we need a refresh. If Chuck, Jill, any of you, if you came to me today and said, I need to go buy speakers right now, I really want to go with HomePods, I'm using them on my desk in a small space, what should I do? I'd just say go get a pair of minis, call it good.
Or even just consider, if you're talking about a desktop space, a single HomePod would work really, really well because they sound pretty good. I've got two connected up to my TV right now with I can't think what the model number is. I have a couple of JBL speakers that are also connected through an amp. But when I go downstairs, because the amp is old, if I go downstairs and I want to watch TV, I want to hit the button for the Apple TV, have the TV come up, have my sound come out of the HomePod minis. And if it doesn't sound as good as the JBLs, okay, I'm watching football. I'm watching I'm watching Scary Movie 12, or whatever. It's not like I need, Dolby sound all the way around me to enjoy the comedy stylings of Jim Carrey. I really just don't.
Yeah.
I bought Sonos, speakers when no one ever heard of them. And so I got them for a really good price, but I do not plan on buying them again. And I would love to get and I'm also thinking of replacing the A-Lady, and I would love to just fill this house with HomePod minis. I have a couple, but I would like to get more, but I want to see what's going to happen with them. But I'd love this idea, and I think it's great. I'm very excited.
Yep. Chuck, you had thoughts on this?
Just, there's a HomePod mini sitting right here. And frankly, it's behaving a lot better than the A-Lady that's sitting over there at the moment, because the A-Lady keeps interrupting us with math problems or whatever she was talking about.
She's helping you with your homework, Chuck.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
I use this all the time. Now, that said, I've got those up there for, quote unquote serious listening. But let's also consider the fact that the HomePod Mini not only gives you a very decent speaker, but it also gives you access to a smart assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and we're hoping that smart assistant will get even smarter in the next few weeks. And Jeff, you and I have bandied this back and forth. I don't have the same issues with the S Lady you do. She's pretty darn good to me. So I just don't think you're buying her flowers often enough.
I should go get some more chocolate.
Yeah.
Show her some appreciation.
Just mash that chocolate right into the speaker grills. That's great.
Yeah. So I think for a small, I think for a small desk setup, there's a lot of people out there that have small desks. My wife, she wanted a smaller desk, and it doesn't have the space. We're not like all of us who love to have sprawling desks with stuff everywhere, right? Those are perfect, and they keep things tidy. They don't look messy, and you got nice little cute speakers. So that I think. I'm surprised we don't hear more about having those HomePod minis as a way to just have a decent way to listen to music while you're working along on your computer, on your Mac, especially. Yeah. So one of the topic I want to talk about real quick is the the ability to being able to open up an auto open maps when you connect to CarPlay. Some people have Google Maps and Apple Maps. I prefer Apple Maps. Other people prefer Google Maps, and that's fine. Since you take the time to remove unnecessary apps from like a CarPlay screen, which I've done, I'm sure all of us have done. There's so many unnecessary apps. Like I don't really care about ordering a Dunkin' Donut on the donut if I have a Dunkin' app, but on my CarPlay, I can easily just go to the phone and just place the order and have it ready when I go pick it up if I'm picking up an iced tea or a donut. But there's plenty of them out there. But so sometimes some of these infotainment systems have take a while to recognize and auto activate our CarPlay. I experienced that because I don't have the built-in system with wireless. I want to have that wireless ability, so I have one of those CarPlay adapters plugged into the USB port. So you do deal with that, but then having it auto activate CarPlay once you plug it in is you kind of have to wait, and then Google Maps will then open and then cause friction because that's because it's Google. What we expect, right? So what you can do, you can set up to automatically fire up either Google Maps when it activates, and I think it's also useful that parents, grandparents who have struggles with CarPlay and just, can you help me with this? So you want to be able to have the map open up automatically. So this is, and then the way you do this, you just go, what you can do is, and this is a little more complicated for grandma and grandpa because you have to set up with something in the shortcuts app. And what you do is you just set up with automation. There's instructions here in the show notes in this article. And then you could create some conditions to what CarPlay could do. And then, you can set it up and do a check for disconnected, check for connected. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can look at this, but this is a great idea to be able to set this up so when it opens the app, which it will do in shortcuts, you could pick Google Maps or Apple Maps, and it does it very nicely with the automation. Probably hasn't somebody already created this shortcut already ready to go, you don't have to go through all these steps. But I think this is a great idea to be able to automate the way Maps opens. Jill, what do you think?
I'm kind of curious because mine automatically opens up to Waze, which is the app I use automatically every time. And I thought using a shortcut was a great idea because I know that it does take some time for it. And I don't know, I've not thought outside the box enough about shortcuts, so I'm kind of excited to try it.
Yeah. So we have the article in the show notes here we were just talking about. Chuck, what do you think?
Hey, the more opportunities that Apple can give you to customize any part of your Apple ecosystem experience without adding too much complexity is a good thing. Because there's Jill who with all her efficiency and everything hadn't even thought about that. Yeah. So, I love that idea. And I know that Apple gets criticized for there's so much stuff in here and the menus upon menus upon menus. Hey, that's what happens when you have lots of options. And so we have griped as the technology people and geeks that we are about Apple won't let me do this and Apple won't let me do that. And yet we question when they start to build things back in and give different options for people that aren't us. So I love it.
Guys, would you set this up?
Yeah, I probably would. The weird thing is and I hadn't really thought about it until just now, but the 3 or 4 apps that you have on your right-hand side are pretty much set as far as the kinds of apps they're going to be. Like on the very bottom, you're going to have your phone and you're going to have messages. Center part, it's going to be some kind of content, whether it's music or podcasts or Spotify or whatever. Right. And then the top is the same thing. So I would like to see more buttons on that side so that we could have more presets or applications. But as far as, I plug my phone in and it brings up, Apple Maps or Waze. For long distance, I use Waze. For around town, I use Apple Maps. That would be fantastic.
Yep. Jeff, do you have any thoughts?
This is a great idea. But what's the greatest part of the idea for me is that this is a reminder that there's a lot that you can do with shortcuts if you just go and look and see what's there. And it hadn't occurred to me that I could have a shortcut that performs a specific action whenever my iPhone connects to CarPlay in my car. And and in this case, hey, why don't you have the Maps app open up? Okay, fine. But now I need to really start thinking about what do I do every single time that I connect my iPhone to my car? And then is that something that I can automate through shortcuts? Now, the answer to that right now is I don't know what that is because I just do so many things without even thinking about it. So I need to pay attention and then figure out what it is I'm going to use shortcuts to do when I connect to CarPlay.
Absolutely. And in the chat, what I haven't mentioned yet here with youtube.com/InTouchWithIOS when we record live here, where the bucket says shortcuts might be a little bit more complicated for me, but then opening the Waze app, but I still need to learn shortcuts. And you coached them. Jill say, come on, you can do it. And it is something that that a lot of people should at least have some good basic understanding of what shortcuts do, because there's so many things that can automate for you if there's things that you do repetitive all the time. Unfortunately, people are the old school way. They just like the where the bucket just said, just open up the app. I don't want to deal with messing around with this. But sometimes you got to get creative, see what they do. Because I know, Jill, you've dabbled a lot of this as well, right?
And I was just thinking that I think you can create a focus mode for driving, which already exists, and then connect things to that as well.
That would probably be a better way to do it.
# spoiler alert.
Yeah.
For my presentation.
MacStock.
Basically, you set up different shortcuts for the different things that you do when you get into your car. If you're going to the grocery store, if you're going to the post office, if you're driving to Florida, or whatever it is you're going to do, and you can have pre-programmed things to all come up at the same time. Maybe you want an Ian Hunter playlist to come up as you start your drive to Chicago, and shortcuts will let you do that. But won't S-Lady do a lot of this for you as well? Couldn't you hit the whatever the toggle is in your particular vehicle of choice and say, S-Lady, open up Apple Maps, open up Waze, open up whatever it is, and S-Lady will do it for you. So, because you may not always want Apple Maps or Waze or what have you to be, sitting there as a navigation app the moment that you start the car. Like for me, for example, like I said, I use Apple Maps when I'm in town. I use Waze when I'm driving long distance. So if I'm driving from here to Chicago, which I'll be doing in July, going to the MacStock Conference and Expo, plug, then every time I stop to fill up my car or get something to eat, when I go back in, it'd be like, oh, crap, Apple Maps came up again. I've got to bring Waze back up. So, you have to, it has to be practical for you.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to hit a bit of the news for this week. Apple did release the new Pride collection. I partake in this every year because I think they make some pretty cool stuff. This is the new Pride Edition Sports Loop. They won the Sports Loop this time instead of the Solo Loop, and it's got the watch face. You have the iPhone and iPad wallpaper to celebrate the LGBTQ plus community. Around Pride Month, and this loop is available. It was ordered today, and surprisingly, look, I have it. There it is, right there. It's a really nice band.
Looks really nice.
I think it's one of the nicer ones they've had. I mean, I've got all the other ones that are out there, and it's really nice. And I it's the sport loop. I'm I was so used to the sports loop instead of this Velcro loop, or this is a sports loop. I'm sorry, the Solo loop. But it's nice. It's subtle. It's not real, not too bad, and it's like $49. That's what they pretty much been charging for these bands every year. So because I continue my collection each year with each one of these, so it's a pretty cool stuff. So I would recommend it if you were looking to support the Pride Month, and then. Let's talk a little bit about iPhone 17. What the Apple did this time around is it's become the best-selling smartphone globally in the first quarter of 2026. It was 6% of worldwide unit sales. This was according to Counterpoint Research. They do sales tracking. It has dominated the top 3 spots with the iPhone 17 Pro Max in second and the 17 Pro in third. The previous generation iPhone 16 also held 6th place, suggesting there's still strong demand for that model, following its blockbuster sales through this last year. And they credit the 17's success to upgrades that have brought the base model closer to the Pro variants, because it's now got the base 256 storage gigabytes. Improved the cameras, faster 120 hertz refresh rate. Not only did the iPhone 17 post double-digit year-over-year growth in China and the U.S., it's also tripled sales in South Korea. So this is pretty amazing. And then you got Samsung's Galaxy A series, remaining in the remaining 5 spots. That is the absolutely worst budget phone I've seen at the store. How can people even waste their money on this? But and it has the bar graph here on the article we're talking about. Anybody here surprised? My wife was having trouble with her iPhone 15, and I said, it's time to get an upgrade because she uses it a lot, and the battery life is going to be tough when you're using it a lot. But the 17 is doing real well, and it's got more storage, so I don't have to ever hear her complain about I got any storage left. So what's your thoughts, Chuck?
I don't know that I have any strong feelings about this.
Okay.
I just, yeah, okay. It feels like it's one of those. It is the way it is for me.
No, it's good to hear, and I think that's what Apple really said during their earnings call, saying that the 17 has been one of the best-selling phones ever for them, and that kind of influenced this too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, the 17 models have been just a runaway success.
Yeah.
So, I have the Pro Max model, but
same here.
This I feel like I almost need to talk down to the 17, and I don't think that's fair. It just it means it's not for me, but it's for a whole lot of people. Great.
Yeah. Okay. Jeff, your thoughts?
Apparently, I have a little bit more than Chuck does. I'm more emotionally invested than Chuck is, apparently, for this one. No, actually, I'm not really emotionally invested, but I do find this really interesting because I would have thought that the 17 Pro or Pro Max would have been the higher selling phone, but that's not what the numbers are showing, and the 17 is a really solid phone. So, yeah, okay, now it's the top seller as an individual phone. So I think some people look at this and say, "Oh, Apple is selling more iPhones than anyone." It's like the highest volume selling phone in the world. No, it's not. This is a breakdown of very specific models. So Apple, I mean, they're definitely continuing to gain market share with their sales. But if you take the phones that Samsung sells, even though they're in this top 10 list, they start at number 4. They're still selling more phones overall than Apple is.
Yeah.
But still, what this tells me is if people have the option of getting an iPhone versus a Galaxy phone, they're going to go for an iPhone when that's an option for them.
Yep. And Jill, your thoughts?
I'm proud. I got the iPhone 17. I think it's a great phone. My friends did as well. So I think it's great. I do not like the Android phones, so I'm happy to see them in the top spot, I guess, because I feel like a lot of people who have some of the Android phones out there don't get the kind of support that they need and don't have the security that they should get. And so I'm pretty happy that Apple's on top.
Yeah. So, guys, you have any quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Year over year, Apple sold 20% more phones, 20% more individual models of various iPhones in China, and they did the year before. And I think the next one up was a Huawei, which was up like 4.
Huawei.
Right. So, it shouldn't come as a big surprise. These are phones that last much longer than the competition. So, it's what we used to say about the Mac as well. Yes, you can buy for much less money a PC, but you're actually in the long run saving money because you're going to keep the computer longer if it's a Mac.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the phone.
Yep. We have a few more stories, but I want Jill does have to leave us a little early, but we do appreciate you being here, Jill. So why don't you let everybody know where the people can find you?
Well, you can find me at jillfromthenorthwoods.com, but you will also find me in the Northwoods because I'm going camping.
All right.
So,
all right. All right. Thanks, Jill, for being here, and enjoy camping.
Thank you. Bye.
Bears.
Take care, Jill.
Couple more quick stories before we wrap up here. The Logitech just introduced 2 new keyboard cases for the iPad. This is they announced a pair of new keyboard cases for the iPad A16 and the iPad 10th generation, rugged combo 4C and the 4C Touch. It touts these cases as a fully sealed keyboard and a versatile USB-C port that enables students to charge iPad and use wired headset at the same time. That's nice. And then it does say that as audio becomes increasingly central to literacy, language learning, and digital assessments, the rugged combo 4C will ensure technology seamless support for the lesson and a dedicated USB-C port, which is great. This is good to see that they are adding these for education, especially. That's going to be very helpful. So, anybody have any thoughts on this? I like to see it. Logitech's coming up with some new cases. It's been a while.
It's certainly going to be cheaper than Apple's smart keyboard.
Yeah. This is true. $299 and $349. So, but Chuck, you like some of the Logitech cases? Have you used them in the past?
They're okay. I mean, I feel like when it comes to some of these things, you get what you pay for. And so if you want, Logitech does a great job. So I want to be careful here and have nobody think I'm slandering them.
Right.
I have an Apple keyboard case for my iPad, and it has held up for a crazy amount of years. And so, and I haven't had a Logitech one that I use that consistently. So, sure. I mean, I tell you what, I'll feel better buying that than a name that I can't pronounce on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is made out of balsa wood or something. Just
yeah.
So yeah, if you aren't in need of the kind of quality that the Apple case delivers, Logitech is fine. I feel like we're back to the Mini and the Mac Neo discussion.
Yeah.
Chuck, if you get a hold of one of these, it's probably because someone stole it and sold it to you. Because this is a product that Logitech is selling through education channels. So they're selling it to schools that are buying iPads. So anyhow, when I look at this case, I'm thinking, okay, so here's another situation where Logitech either very openly or kind of behind the scenes has partnered with Apple to make the iPad an even more enticing purchase for schools. And so it makes sense that they would be making something like this. You remember when they started selling the crayon? I mean, that initially was only through education channels. So it's a thing you sold to schools.
Right.
And, so I mean, I think, is it true anyone can buy a crayon now?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe eventually these Logitech cases will be available to the general public. But at least for now, you're going to have to go through some skullduggery to get a hold of one.
Yeah. All right. Couple of quick ones here. Apple continues to drop some amazing content on the Apple TV. This one is going to be the first trailers out for John Travolta's directorial debut movie. Apple did release this trailer. It's called Propeller One-Way Night Coach, John Travolta's first movie as a director. It'll premiere on Friday, May 29th, 2026, after the world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. Travolta wrote, directed, and narrated and produced the movie, which is based on the 1997 book of the same name. The trailer presents it as a warm family film about childhood wonder, classic air travel, and one of the trips that changes youth in a boy's future. So how fitting the fact that John Travolta is known for being a pilot and likes to fly. So that's something that I think be kind of interesting to see. So, Chuck, was there any stuff that's stood out? I know you had Charlotte Henry on the TV Plus. That there were some shows that were coming out besides this one.
Oh man, David, I tell you what, I am so overwhelmed by the content that is coming out of Apple TV, and the content that is interesting that I have put on my list. And Apple TV is doing something that, frankly, nobody else is doing, and maybe it's because of my Apple bias, but they are describing shows that make me want to watch them, even though they might not be in the genres that I usually enjoy, or that would turn my head. Charlotte and I have done consistent criticism of the lack of publicity that Apple is doing for Apple TV shows. But that said, if you can find out about them, then I mean, I'm so far I'm behind on shows that I was looking forward to coming out, and I still can't find the time to keep up with them. So I think they're winning. They just need to have more people know that they're winning.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any thoughts?
I'm looking forward to this movie I mean, I haven't seen the trailer. I'm just looking at the initial image that's at the top of the Mac Observer article, and it's a Lockheed Constellation, which is one of my all-time favorite 4-engine turboprop, or I don't know, they weren't always turboprop, but prop planes. It's just a beautiful plane, and if I'm really, really hoping that that's the plane that they're going to focus on, and I'm sure if John Travolta could find a Lockheed Constellation that he could fly, that he would spend almost all of his money to do.
Probably. All right. And then lastly, I wanted to bring up a story that I know this is Chuck's favorite topic is lawsuits. So you might be eligible for a cut of Apple's $250 million AI settlement. So it's no secret that Apple's way behind in the AI generation race. And the fact of the matter is it is it as well. Other companies like OpenAI and Google and Anthropic have been making major wins over a while. So as it happens, Apple was a bit too eager when it oversold itself on its AI endeavors. If you remember back in 2024, Apple hadn't even really had done anything with AI, at least in the same way all the other big companies did. So after a year and a half of ChatGPT, Apple was undoubtedly feeling a little pressure to deliver on AI, which it never did. So I guess the lawsuit was class action suit was filed because it wasn't as advertised. So now they're settling the lawsuit. So what it's going to do is it does affect those who are in there's those who have it was advertised during the iPhone 16 line, as well as the iPhone 15 Pro that would have run the AI features with the company's S Lady. It still hasn't released it yet, but you're going to get a cut of this $250 million settlement.
Mm-hmm.
So that amounts to about what? $95 is probably where
$95 per person who files.
Per person who files. So
per person, but it's also per device, right?
I thought it was per device too, yeah.
But I didn't think it was 95 per device. I thought it was less than that, and you were up to $95 that you could recover.
Oh, maybe it was.
Oh, well, maybe.
I would only be covered by one because we had an iPhone 16 Pro Max, and that counts. So
yeah. Well, and most of the money, of course, is the lawyers. So
pretty much,
yeah.
They even mentioned that I think in the lawsuit that if less people file, you might get more. So, I know, Chuck, you love these stories, right?
Yeah, and David, it's funny because I saw this and I'm trying to do some research on it, because what I want to know is that $250 million. So that's gone into escrow almost certainly. So what happens if let's just pretend that nobody files,
right?
Okay, so that 250 sits there, and where does it go? And what provisions are there for compensating the attorneys? Because the question becomes, all right, do they get the typical X percentage of the settlement, regardless of how many people claim? Or does their cut come from out of the number of people that actually do make the claims? I'm trying to do a little research on this.
Gamble. So they know what fee they're getting out of this before payouts happen.
Jeff, I would agree with that, but I also wonder if there's not a provision somewhere that says if we will cover our costs, we will get definitely this much. This is our floor. We will get no less. But is there a provision that if we've helped this many more people, that we get a little bigger piece of the action out of that money that's been put into escrow?
Yeah.
So I want to know because I'm the one that's constantly saying the more of you that support these lawsuits, the more lawsuits are going to happen, the class action suits. Yeah. And really, how much are you? $95? Is that going to make or break you? Is a nice little windfall and it'll take you out to dinner. But I really don't like encouraging, and that's why I just will not participate in these unless it's health related. And, somebody gave me a drug or something that turned my toenails blue. Forget it.
Well, Facebook had the privacy issue and I filed for it and I ended up getting $325. So I can't complain about that.
Yeah.
So
the butterfly keyboard thing, I definitely went into put my name in the ring for that lawsuit.
Yeah.
And I got like $350 out of it.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people believe, oh my gosh, that's so much money. For everything that I went through with the whole butterfly keyboard thing, $350 is a slap in the face.
It's still
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and that's kind of my point. And Jeff, I absolutely respect your decision because I know you have talked about that a lot and you did go through a lot. And that is almost my point, that the settlement that people get is not commensurate with the issues that they suffered for the most part. And so, and yet we continue to encourage it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much encouraged. I for the most part, I think these class action lawsuits are instigated by lawyers rather than consumers. It's basically they go out looking for a problem, and then advertise. Come and join our law firm where we have this class action suit going, and you could get this amount of money that you'll never see because we're taking 90% of it or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and chances are the lawyers for this particular lawsuit have a certain percentage of that $250 million. And it's not going to be based on the number of people. And there's probably some kind of time limit that's put in on it. And once that time is expired, whatever remains will go back to Apple.
Oh, It won't go back to Apple.
Nope. Where would it go?
Well, okay. So let's say that 1,000 people, just, for sake of numbers, throw their name in the ring. Then versus 100 people. Okay. The same money gets divvied up between the people. So if only 100 people put their name in the ring, they're supposed to get more of the pot because it's supposed to be divided evenly between everyone. So my guess is that you could get up to $95. That's because they have a good idea of who or how many people will actually throw their name in to get money back. Right. And so based on whatever they see as that, that core number of people, then that puts it at $95.
Yep.
But more people will apply, which means you will probably get, like 80 or 50.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just applied for a Xfinity Comcast one because they violated privacy. And I probably won't get much, but I don't even think about it until all of a sudden it appears in my bank account. So,
but I'm waiting to see what I get out of. I'm in the class action lawsuit against Anthropic for scraping books and training without having authorization. And when I got the letter about, hey, we think you qualify for this, and so I went and checked the database, and sure enough, I do. It's like, yeah, I was wronged, and I have no idea how much money I will get, but I'm going to get something. It'll probably be something ridiculous, like $100, and which is not. I mean, that doesn't even begin to compensate for what they scraped, but. Yeah. So Chuck, I'm with you. There's a lot of frivolous class action lawsuits that people get into because they're like, yeah, money. But then there are the ones where I sit back and look at them and think, yeah, I'm actually going to throw my name in on that one.
Jeff, you used an interesting word, and that is that you were wronged. And that maybe I need to revise my feelings a little bit because, or my presentation a little bit because Dave, hit Facebook, and there's no question that they kind of deserve it.
Sure.
You felt you were wronged with the butterfly keyboard. Yeah, I get it. I get your participation in the Anthropic. It's the ones that are frivolous that really tick me off because they cloud the issue for some of the real ones. I mean, some of the things, and Dave, Comcast. I mean, some of the companies that are cavalier with information or procedures or whatever, they need to be punished so they don't do it again, or otherwise they're just going to run wild. Others, I struggle with, but that's me.
So, all right, so. Before we wrap up, let me talk a little bit about MacStock. Well, MacStock 10 is here. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary of MacStock. Can't wait. Dave, myself, Chuck, Jeff, Marty, and Jill will all be speaking. Guy's going to be there and hanging out with us and having a great time. We have 3 full days of expert-led presentations and workshops. Marty's going to be doing a great workshop. David Pogue is going to be there, and we're going to see him there as well, and he'll be have his book for sale there, as well as he'll sign his book, and he's going to have an evening with David Pogue on Friday night. Can't wait for that. So all kinds of crammed full of productivity and enhancing content. The theme is Inspire. You're going to have some great times and some great fun networking, meeting new people, seeing old friends. It's going to be just an absolute blast. There's going to be 2 passes available. So you're going to go to the MacStock. The weekend pass is July 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's the MacStock weekend pass, and 3 full days of great sessions. But Ecamm has partnered with MacStock, and they are going to be offering a Creator Camp Mac Edition at MacStock on July 9th, on Thursday, the day before the MacStock conference, and you're going to be able to have a full day of an actual Creator Camp, learning how to use Ecamm, talk with everybody. Ecamm's a great program. I use it here. A lot of other friends use it as well for production. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, so you can get that as an extra part. 2 bundles are available, so you can just take a look at the website here at MacStockConference.com, and you'll be able to enjoy, have a great time, and be able to hang out with us. So register on the website. I have a link in the show notes as well. But if you use offer code INTOUCH at checkout, you will save $50 on your plan. So you can actually come out and join us and save a little bit of money. So I'd love to see you all, and it's going to be a great time. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap up. But before we wrap up, let's see where everybody can find you. And Jeff Gamet, where can people find you?
Well, right now you can find me clicking cancel on the alert that keeps coming up on my Mac screen. Someone wants to connect to my Mac from their iPhone with Bluetooth.
Oh,
what? Cancel? Okay, so now that I've canceled that yet again, you can find me on the social medias as Jay Gamet, and I'm active mostly on Mastodon, PixelFed, and Blue Sky. Then for shows, Tuesdays, this is why I love you guys, because both of you went and grabbed your phone to hold up, and look, I just denied both of you.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so yeah, Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live. Hear Dave on your show, In Touch with iOS. Then on the British Tech Network, The Big Show and The Mac Show. Brian Chaffin and I, we do The Context Machine. Also, we have a newsletter that we started, and people seem to be liking that, so thanks everyone. And I also, with Brian's assistance, it takes both of us, we started up a merch store for the site. So if you go to contextmachine.io, you can sign up for the newsletter, and you can go and check out merch. There will be more stuff there. The store's been active for, at this point, 24 hours, a little bit over 24 hours. So all the merch is fresh, and there will be more coming soon.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, Retro Rewatch. Don't forget that. Holy crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't forget that.
And as we record, new episode coming out tomorrow.
Can't wait. All right. Thanks for being here. Guy Serle, while you're figuring out your iPhone, where can people find you?
Connect to Jeff Gamet. Oh, sorry. Oh.
Click. Cancel.
You can find me, and hopefully soon, Gazmaz over on the G-Men Show, which is a weekly show, comes out every single Wednesday, and we have a really good time with it. You can talk to us in so many different ways. You can send us email, gmenshow@icloud.com. You can reach us on the Twaxters and the Skies of Blue as either Mac Parrot or Vert Shark. And if you want to get a hold of both of us, it's Guy and Gaz, all one word. Let's see. We have a Google Voice number, 703-828-46. And only people who have been on the show or listened to the show will understand that. Thank you. Oh, also, Dave's show on Thursday nights, Chuck's show when I'm not getting my wife through a medical procedure on Tuesday nights. And yeah, that's it. Nobody wants me anywhere else. I can't blame them.
Look, we love you, Guy. So thanks for being here. And then last but certainly not least, Chuck Joyner. Thanks for making it back here this week. We always love having you. Where can people find you?
Hey, I appreciate it, Dave. And Guy, I was able to get into Jeff's phone. His password is underpants.
Well, we knew that.
You'd have figured that out.
Oh, now I got to change it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm in.
Hold on.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Underpants. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, good.
Okay,
yes.
good. No one will ever guess that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Oh, man. So let's see, MacVoices.com. That's where you can find everything. Right now, we've got a lot going on in addition to our regular shows and some Take Control stuff. We have the Road to MacStock series. We have interviews from NAB. So, you're going to be hearing a lot of stuff from me in the next few weeks. But, hey, that's a good thing. And on all of the social medias, you can find me as @ChuckJoyner. Thank you, David.
Thanks. Thank you. And I can't wait to hear about Take Control. I just saw that Joe is going to have a live session. That's pretty awesome. I don't think I've ever remembered. It's been a long time, even well before Joe took it over, that they did a live session on something. So I'm kind of think maybe he might come on and tell us all about it on your show. I can look forward to seeing that. So that's going to be really cool. So, all right. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Blue Sky and Mastodon at InTouchWithIOS. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at InTouchWithiOS.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/InTouchWithIOS. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe when you're notified when we're live streaming on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/InTouchWithIOS. It was great to see Witherbucket and Brian and others that were in the chat this week. Come join us. We have a lot of fun. You can interact with the show while we record here. And you also can be able to find the previous live streams as well as listen to past shows. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, many others. But better yet, just go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links are there to listen to and watch our show. And you can find me on the different shows as well. You can find me at the Neo Notebook on Sunday nights with Marty and Eric. Monday nights, Vision Profiles with Marty and Eric. Tuesday nights on Mac Voices Live with these folks here and others. And then usually on Fridays, I'm on the Mac Show, British Tech Network, with Jeff and Chuck. It's always with us. And of course, we record our show on Thursday nights. And I mentioned that. So thanks for being here. We hope you enjoyed the show. We enjoy doing it as always. And I make sure I did mention Witherbucket and Brian. Thanks again for being here in the chat. And we'll talk again soon.